Hello everyone, this is Fine from Tech Gaming Villa. I hope you all are well. Today I'm going to talk about the two TV, the Samsung S90C and the LG G3. The Samsung S90C is the latest model. The S90C ships in eco mode if you see its picture quality, and while it might keep energy usage down to reach saturatory power requirements, what it doesn't reach are the industry standards for image quality. There's an excess of blue in the grayscale that skews everything towards that color, and the gamma is way off as well. Thankfully, Samsung includes a filmmaker mode, and by simply selecting this setting, these issues are immediately fixed. In fact, the out-of-the-box accuracy in this mode is superb, with the grayscale measuring an average delta E of 1.1 colors with an average error of 1.17 and a gamma that tracks around the target of 2.4. These measurements are well below the visible threshold of 3 and so good that calibration will have no real impact. But there are controls for those who seek perfection. HDR images are stunning in this Samsung uh, S90C with deep blacks, excellent shadow delineation, precisely rendered details, and natural colors. Thanks to the use of quantum dots along with OLED's incredibly wide viewing angles. One area of obvious improvement this year is the screen filter, which now eliminates reflections and rejects ambient light without adversely affecting the perceived black level. As a result, the black floor is significantly improved when viewing content, while there's a lot of ambient light in the room, with none of the problems with glare blacks that some people noticed on the S95B. Picture processing is also impressive, with the 4K neural quantum chipset bringing out all the details in high quality images and giving them added depth. The upscaling and image enhancements are both superb, ensuring that even lower resolution content is watchable, while the motion handling is equally capable, producing moving images free of judder or other motion artifacts. The Samsung S90C manages to squeeze a bit more brightness out of its QD OLED panel, although the S95B was already hitting 1000 city per meter square last year. So if you see its HDR performance, the new model can reach 1100 city per meter square on a 10% window and 230 city per meter square on a full field pattern. This is seriously impressive for an OLED and basically means HDR content at 1000 nits requires the minimum of tone mapping. The quantum dot layers used for red and green also play their part, creating whiter and purer colors with HDR. This is evidenced by the DCI-P3 coverage, which measures 100%, while the BT2020 coverage hits an impressive 76%. Crucially, the saturation sweeps of DCI-P3 within BT2020 are also very accurate, resulting in expertly rendered colors with HDR content. The HDR grayscale measurements are equally as impressive in filmmaker mode, tracking red, green, and blue almost exactly, and the EOTF maps the PQ target precisely. This ensures artistic choices are maintained regardless of whether the grade uses 1400, 4000 or 10,000 nits. The TV supports high dynamic range in the form of HDR10 HLG and HDR10 Plus adaptive. In terms of the S90C's tone mapping, Samsung offers a choice of static or active settings, with the former tracking the PQ target precisely, while the latter deviates to give HDR a brightness boost. The result is less accurate but can be handy when there's a lot of ambient light in the room. The tone mapping with the games is also more accurate this year, eliminating obvious clipping. All these strengths are perfectly demonstrated during Top Gun Maverick's stunning aerial sequences. The bleached desert landscapes and sunlight glinting off artifacts canopies help make the action viscerally realistic, while the purer colors ensure the helmets really pop. It's an amazing 4K and HDR experience that's bursting with vitality and detail. The deserts of Dune are also rendered with a clarity that's free of any clipping, but this is primarily a rather dark film, and Here, the inherent strengths of OLED are readily apparent. The burning sun is deliberately blocked out when inside, and the S90C reveals all the details in these shadowy interiors. The layered and nuanced color scheme is also accurately represented in these scenes. On the other hand, if you see the LG G3 is phenomenal. I will say it's the second generation OLED version 2.0, I will say. Its performance, unprecedented OLED brightness, outstanding and unexpected color saturation, the same black level prowess we'd expect to get from OLED. LG G3, just eye-catching, I will say. Impressive through the LG G3's brightness measurements are they still don't prepare you for the level of impact all that extra light has on its playback of actual video and gaming images. In some ways, in fact, the LG G3's pictures don't even feel like the OLED technology we have grown to love over the past decade in a good way. Running the G3 alongside a 2022 G2, the G3 serves up so much more brightness that it makes the G2, which was actually one of 2022's brightest OLED TVs, it almost looks dull. If I compare to LG G2, actually almost look dull by comparison to LG G3. This applies to in both bright highlights and full screen bright content and totally transforms the experience of viewing HDR content. Daylight scenes look more well daylight just as they are supposed to with HDR, while the intensity with which bright highlights such as street lights, stars, the moon, and reflections on metal or glass erupt from the picture is incredibly satisfying and lifelike. OLED has always excelled relative to LCD TVs when it comes to the local contrast controls necessary to deliver bright highlights against much darker backdrops. But the extreme leap in the intensity of those bright highlights on the G3 sells this OLED advantage much more emphatically. This is doubly true because the unprecedented surge in brightness has seemingly done no damage at all to the G3's traditional black level talents. Dark scenes and image areas still enjoy every beat of the immaculately deep but also neutral black level tones we have come to expect from LG OLED TVs, even where the darkest pixel in the pixel happens to sit right alongside the brightest. You don't have to worry about being distracted by the backlight blooming or bright object dimming issues that even the finest LCD TVs have to suffer with. As if the huge increase in brightness wasn't already sensational enough, the OLED, the 77-inch LG G3 somehow manages to completely rewrite this interpretation of the OLED rulebook by actually producing much richer, more vibrant, and more natural color tones than 2022's G2. And this is a 77-inch LG G3, and the left side 65-inch Samsung S90C. Anyways, our understanding of the way LG's WOLED TVs work, the W refers to their use of a white element alongside the regular red, green, and blue ones. Means that we thought the G3's color might actually lose saturation with so much more brightness in play, as the white subpixels influence would be more pronounced. And yet here we are faced with the simple fact that for the most part of the LG G3 actually gives us a glorious color improvement. LG states that this is largely down to improvements made to its color processing. Though I guess it's also true that the way MLA works means there isn't actually much more brightness being produced by the OLED pixels than there was before. The brightness increase is predominantly down to the light the OLED is being produced emerging through the screen more efficiently. LG has changed the polarizer setup on the OLED LG G3 too, which means that the much brighter pictures have even more impact because there's no longer as affected by ambient light reflections as they have been previously. This new filter together with MLA technology also means that you can watch the LG G3 from an angle without images suffering the sort of magenta color shift that would creep in with its predecessor. Very bright rooms can cause a slight reduction in black levels not seen with the G2, but the benefits of the new polarizer far outweigh this really fairly negligible downside. as well as transforming what we can now expect WOLED TVs to be capable of with HDR content. The LG G3's mind-boggling brightness and unexpected color enhancements certainly make OLED a vastly more engaging bright room technology than it ever has been before. This is actually a pretty huge development as it chops away hard at the old LED is for bright rooms. OLED is for dark rooms. In fact, the LG G3's pictures even remain punchy and enjoyable with the TV placed in front of a set of patio doors on a bright sunny day. The G3's extra luminance together with the latest processing refinements finds it handling shadow detail and near black picture information beautifully too. The shadow detailing remains just as visible in bright rooms now as it is in blacked out ones. The only exception to this occurs with Dolby Vision signals, which, while looking outstanding in other ways, do exhibit some slight loss of shadow detail in the darkest corners. This is something we are seeing strangely with Dolby Vision modes on the other OLED TVs too. The slightly noisy look that we'd sometimes notice in dark scenes on LG OLEDs has largely gone on the G3 too. While at the other end of the spectrum, LG takes full advantage of its new TV's extra brightness threshold by delivering much more brightness and intensity in peak light areas without clipping subtle shading details. Motion judder with 24p film sources can sometimes look a touch hard-edged on the G3 without using any of the provided motion processing options, a result of extra brightness making juddering edges look more pronounced. LG Cinematic Movement Processing option, though, now delivers an excellent way of reducing 24p judder without making the picture look forced or uncinematic. When it comes to sharpness, finally, the LG G3 isn't quite as crystal clear with native 4K or upscaled HD as the latest Samsung TVs we are seeing. That's not to say, though, that its pictures don't still look beautifully refined and sharp. On the contrary, there's a refinement to the G3's color and contrast handling in particular, all the way down to pixel level that gives its pictures a gorgeously natural sense of definition and depth. It's important to stress that G3's huge picture improvements pay off the game graphics at least as impactfully as they do with video. Gaming fans already loving the prowess of LG TVs as gaming displays will likely think they have died and gone to heaven when they see what their games look like on the G3. However, while the improvements LG has brought to the OLED pictures are unequivocally outstanding, the same can't be said of its sound system. On the upside, the new virtual 9:1:2 mixing system and built-in Dolby Atmos decoding managed to create a sense of the sound space not just spreading well beyond the edges of the TV, but also actually wrapping around the sides of your seating position. Unfortunately, though, the speakers don't seem powerfully enough to match LG's ambitions with dense soundtrack moments, especially those involving heavy bass elements, typically sounding congested, muddy, and constricted. The AI Sound Pro mode that delivers the 9:1:2 effects robs the mix of much of the little bass it already had when running in other modes too. Though there seems to be some possibility that LG might be able to improve this last issue by a future firmware update. Even in our wildest dreams, we hadn't imagined that the LG G3 would turn out as well as it has. The headline grabbing brightness increase lives up to the hype, adding even more impact to real world pictures than our already unprecedented signal measurements had led us to expect. The extent to which this makes OLED certainly an option for bright as well as dark rooms can't be overstated either. However, it's the way G3's new brightness combines with wildly better colors without doing any damage whatsoever to OLED's traditional strengths that really seals the deal. While it's still technically just another OLED TV, and we have no idea how much further LG might be able to go with its new MLA twist, the simple fact is that watching the LG G3 feels like you have stumbled upon a completely new technology. If you compare this with Samsung S90C, I will say LG G3 is the better TV. It's a new technology and it's eye-catching. So what's your thought? Please write in the comments below. If you like this video, please subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications update. Thanks for watching.
To change your